Thank you everybody for coming out this morning. So change is definitely something that I've had my fair share of in my life. Growing up in a military family, we moved around every 18 months to 2 years until we finally settled in Colorado Springs and called it home. So physical change is something that I became very used to. Along with that came meeting new friends, transferring schools, learning new neighborhoods, etc. So looking back, I would say that this upbringing has greatly informed the way in which I deal with change today. I'm a firm believer of the old adage, it takes a village to raise a child, but interpret it very widely. At some point, we're all the child, and we must find our village to help us become raised. My stories today about change and resiliency will focus on people and how they either made my changes easier or more difficult. When graduated from undergrad at Regis University in Denver, Colorado, I was faced with one of the most important decisions in my life. Where do I go to grad school? I knew that my experience thus far at a Jesuit institution suited me very well, and as such, I limited my search to other Jesuit universities with higher ed master's programs. I strongly looked at Loyola Chicago, Seattle University, and Canisius College. My experience of deciding where to go was a fairly typical one. I filled out the general acceptance applications, I had some initial contact with the program directors at the respective schools, and eventually was contacted to visit Seattle and Canisius for their assistantship weekends, where I would interview for an assistantship that would not only allow me to pay for my degree, but also set me forth on my path as a higher education professional. At this point in my life, I would say I did not have a very strong support system. I was distanced from my family. My undergraduate academic advisor was in the sociology department and knew very little about higher ed programs. I took an extra year to graduate, so all my friends had already graduated and moved on. So really, the only two people I could look to for support were my former supervisor, Brent, my then girlfriend, and soon after fiance, Melissa. I was about to make a decision that would change the course of my life forever. I sort of made it on a whim. I went to Seattle, interviewed on a Thursday and Friday, then hopped on a plane to Buffalo Saturday morning, where I interviewed Sunday and Monday, then flew back to Colorado to attend classes the following Tuesday morning. I had made the decision to attend Canisius College before I had even gotten back on the plane to Colorado. When reflecting on why I made that decision, I can wholeheartedly say it was because of the warm welcome I received from the folks that I interacted with, some of who would become new supervisors, some new classmates, and most importantly, some who I now call family. Over the next 2 years of that program, my life changed drastically. I learned how to be a professional living in a residence hall. We moved across the country during a huge snowstorm in the middle of December. I learned how to be a newlywed in a 400 square foot apartment in the middle of a nasty Buffalo winter. And I learned the new definition of family and love from a complete stranger who took us in almost immediately. Sorry. After that, I can say my village in Buffalo is to this day, My village in Buffalo to this day are some of the people closest to my heart, those that I still look to for advice, mentorship, and friendship. This experience could have been enough to either make or break someone. I firmly believe I was made due to those people. So fast forward a few years to my experience here at Elon. I had a similar experience when graduating from Canisius and job searching. I came to Elon on an interview, very quickly made up my mind that this was a place where I needed to be, solely based on the people I had met and the powerful interactions I had in such a short period of time. All of that being said, coming to Elon in 2009 was one of the best decisions I made in my professional career. But come 2013, my experience here was very personally and professionally challenging. So what had changed in a short 3.5 years? The people. One of the dangers of working in higher ed is that the turnover of colleagues and students is by nature of the job incredibly high. Students turn over at least every 4 years, and colleagues, if you're lucky, are about the same. My experience at that point had been my supervisor had changed 3 times, my coworkers in residence life, student life, and the university at large were turning over at an abnormally expressed rate, and my students that year were presenting even more challenges than before. So I made the choice to leave in a very abrupt manner. I left Elon and I went and worked for Target. Complete change of pace. In reflecting on my time at Target, though, I learned a tremendous amount while working there. I worked with some amazing people, and they were the ones who kept me coming back day after day. On the one hand, I was having a great time. I was making new friends, learning a new trade. However, on the other hand, I was also sacrificing a tremendous amount personally to work there. So while this change in my life brought forth some positive aspects, I quickly realized that I needed to be back in higher education, and more specifically, back with my village here at Elon. What I learned in my time away was that there must be a balance between the people you interact with and how they help you create your experience, but more importantly, how you respond to that. I would say the biggest thing I walked away with was knowing that I needed personal accountability to not allowing external changes to factor into my happiness and success. When I returned to Elon, I knew that some of the factors that made me leave were still present. But I returned with an attitude that I was going to engage fully in the positive experiences here at Elon and not let any of the negative things that may creep up bring me down. Upon my return, I have based every decision and my daily interactions on one phrase that I utter consistently in my mind. If you've interacted with me, you've likely heard me say in jest, "People helping people, folks. It's just what I do here." Given that mindset, and given my ability to remain focused on the end goal of making Elon a better place, making student experiences better, and making my colleagues' day better, that is what has allowed me to be more resilient with the changing times here at Elon, and quite frankly, become more successful here. I recognize this is by no means a perfect system of dealing with change and being resilient, and there are many days in which I find myself doubting my ability to do this work justice, or if I'm even doing enough. But in the end, I keep choosing hope and positivity, and take every opportunity to engage the many villages I belong to, knowing that if we all give it our best efforts, each day can have no better outcome. Thank you.